we've got a Pros in the Wild submission for you.
Exciting.
All right. Hello, David and Chaz. I've got a potential Pros in the Wild for you. I will let you decide. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and a few of our local spots get pretty sporty in the winter. A few years back, I checked the buoys and the swell was reading 18 feet at 24 seconds. I threw my biggest gun in the car and went to the beach without the slightest hope of even getting in the water. When I arrived, I joined the standard crew of salty regulars standing on the dune next to a memorial for a local surf legend who had died at the spot. I quickly realized that many of our homegrown chargers were here, but no one was in the water and no one was even suiting up. This is unusual because we have some hellmen who I've never seen hesitate to paddle out. It's only water, right? Ha. I climbed to the crest, sipped my coffee, and turned my eyes to the sea. What I saw was shocking, all caps. Absolute mountains of water. The beach was closed out as far as the eye could see. From our vantage point, we could see what looked like perfect A-frames breaking very far out at a deep water spot that is notoriously very sharky with lots of current. It's not an easy spot to surf, and all of us have learned the hard way that you're pretty much never too far out. We watched in awe as wave after massive wave rolled through the outer lineup and detonated. You could feel the sand shaking under your feet. So heavy. A short while later, a tricked out Sprinter van tailed its way up the dirt track towards where we park our vehicles. Eyebrows raised since nobody recognized the van, and it is very rare for visitors to venture out in winter without being escorted by someone in the know. The side door slid open and a guy jumped out. He was wearing a full inflatable impact suit and a beautiful brand new gun. Without so much as a nod to the guys on the dunes, he waxed his board and headed to the beach. What was even stranger than this brazen assault on our hallowed domain was that he was followed by a photographer with a massive lens and a tripod. The photographer set up on the beach and we all watched the lone guy paddle out. He made it out to the channel without drama and proceeded to paddle towards the monstrous A-frames which had so captivated us. He got out during a lull and sat on his board. He's inside, was mumbled by several observers. Too deep, was agreed. Sure enough, a dinosaur set reared its head on the horizon. We watched smugly as he paddled hard for the outside, but took the inevitable first wave on the head and a subsequent pounding, eventually washing him all the way to the beach. To his credit, he walked back up the beach, paddled back out. This time he sat well outside of his original chosen location. He's still inside. Maybe? No way. Definitely not far enough out. We all agreed. Another set darkened the horizon. Again, he scrambled for the outside. He made it over the first wave, the second, even the third, each wave bigger than the last. But as he climbed the wall of the fourth massive set, the ocean pitched him, tumbling backwards in the lip as he attempted to paddle over. He disappeared in an absolute explosion of white water. We all watched nervously as his board tombstoned in the whitewash. Eventually, a dark shape popped up on the surface. He again was washed into the beach, this time his vest fully inflated and the fight clearly beaten out of him. He collected his cameraman, walked to his van, and they drove off. Neither of them spoke a word. He didn't even change out of his gear. We all shook our heads and commented on the audacity of the guy for not even bothering to talk to any of us on the dunes prior to paddling out on a huge day like that. Secretly then, but not very secretly, later that night over beers, we were all glad that this wandering hotshot didn't come out and shred our spot on a day that none of us even went out. Was he a pro? No one knows. No one recognized him. He certainly had the kit and the cameraman of somebody who meant business. Regardless, he was humbled that day in a very cold, heavy, beautiful ocean. And I think of him often and fondly. Keep work, Brandon.
Absolutely love it, Brandon. Thank you so much. That is one of the better pros in the wild, even with an unnamed pro, but clearly a pro. Nobody goes and surfs with a Sprinter and an inflatable vest and the whole nine and a cameraman.
That was my first thought too, is like, wow, you guys really don't know your pros. But then I thought, no, they probably do know their pros, but there's this modern surfer who shows up at Mavericks and toes into waves who has more hubris than they have experience.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's this guy. Like, this guy's just rich dude who's really into surfing, who thinks that he's knows what he's doing, has the van, hires the guy, shows up with brand new equipment, and can't even catch a wave.
I hear you, but except for the fact that nobody else was out that day, and to make it out into the lineup, you've got to be like, I guess, I mean, I totally get sitting on the wrong spot and getting smoked, but to go get into one of those Oregon beach break lineups, like that is hard yards. You got to know your paddle and you got to be real good at navigating that kind of stuff.
So that's one version of possibility, is that he's really good, good enough to be able to paddle out into the lineup, even though he was way too far in, not on the actual spot, or he lucked into it,
Lucked into his paddle.
lucked into timing the paddle out.
Man, yeah. Well, I love that. I was gonna wait for the denouement there, but I'm so glad that it just ended in defeat.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
I was expecting a big reveal at the end, but yeah, this is almost better that
It
this
was
happened
so
this
much
way.
better. So
But
much better.
so I wanted to ask follow-up questions like what type of board was he riding? That will
Yep.
tell me something, you know, like
Yes.
what stickers were there stickers on the board? What stickers were they?
There would
What
have
color was
been
his hair? Was it
we,
what?
we need more. We need more, dear listener. We need more.
Yeah.
We're gonna figure out who this pro was for you.
And what year was it?
Yeah. Unless he doesn't want the pro shamed. Maybe he knew who the pro was too and felt bad later and just thought that guy doesn't need my shaming.
Yeah.
He's
Don't
making
know. Don't know. I'm okay. Much like the ending of The Sopranos, I am also okay leaving it up to the big unknown.
except for in this case, we could get to the bottom of this. Like inflation vest. I mean, all of this puts it in a at least a time frame.
Yeah.
A sprinter van. This had to happen in the last 5 years max, right?
Yeah, inflatable vest, sprinter van, possibly. Yeah.
And if there was a cameraman on the beach, again, yeah, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Thanks.
All right, we'll do our best. The other thing is there's a lot of quote pro big wave surfers who I don't know.
Yeah.
Because like the
Well,
Nazare contest will happen and it's like, dudes from Spain or Portugal who like have sponsors and
that's
apparently are
it.
making a living and I don't
I
know
mean,
who
that's
they
probably
are.
what this guy was, a full-on European big wave surfer. Like even Sebastian Stoy, however you say his last name,
Stutner.
Studner, like is got to be one of the most famous big wave surfers in the world. I mean, he's sponsored by Porsche for pity's sake. He's, on and on and on. I think Tag Heuer, like he's with, you know, blue chip European sponsors. I feel like he goes and he wins awards and gives awards on stage at European gala festivals. And I don't even know how to pronounce his last name.
Never seen him surf a wave other than going straight.
Yeah. And so, but yes, so I think we stumbled upon it. You stumbled upon it. That pro European Nazare-esque pro guy was probably surfing Mavs, heard about this spot, popped up, got smashed, back to Europe.
That's the weird thing though, right? Like the Pacific Northwest, it's not known. Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't paddle out there unless you lived in the area and knew the spot. It's a weird,
Unless, unless though he had a bro, he had enough information
yeah,
to get out there.
yeah. It's a weird one, but I got another one that's kind of lighthearted and quick. This encounter took place back in 2012 on my first trip to Bali when I was a naive 21-year-old. I don't think, or sorry, I think it was on the second day of the trip, and a friend and I were getting cash out of an ATM near Uluwatu, trying to decipher the currency and the exchange rate. As my friend was struggling in the little ATM booth, one of my all-time favorite surfers, Rob Machado, pulled up on his scooter and gets in line behind us to get some cash out. I tried my best to play it cool, asking him about the waves, where it was going to be good the next day, just some typical banter, while trying my best not to fan out. As my friend continues to struggle with the ATM, Rob chimes in something about how it can be tough to figure out the exchange rate when it's your first time in Indo. My friend had his back to Rob, and the entire time I was chatting us through the whole painstaking process, not and the entire time I was chatting through the whole painstaking process, he didn't know who I was talking to. When he finally turns around to walk out of the ATM booth, his jaw drops. And with a stunned look on his face, he blurts out, "Oh, Rob Machado," while fumbling in his wallet with his fresh rupiah. I cracked up, and Rob maybe had a slight smirk on his face as well, although I'm not sure. It's probably just a regular occurrence for him. My buddy and I were laughing about it the entire scooter ride back to our little homestay. It was great. It was a great intro to Indo from the drifter himself. Keep work.
Sweet, love it. Rob Machado. He's not the ray gun. He's the hero we need.
Exactly. Thank
Yeah.
you.